Join us at your own university. Like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. You're not going to want to miss a bit of this.
Welcome back, everyone. This is podcast number 5. Is that right, Alicia?
Yep.
Awesome. And today's topic is feminine and masculine. And personally, this always reminds me of the Kinsey Institute, which comes out of Indiana University. I don't know if it originated there. There was a movie on this topic. Liam Neeson, is that his name? He was the star of that, the main actor.
Nice.
Yeah, and the Kinsey, I don't know all the terms, but the Kinsey scale, I think, is something. And he's known for something like that, where you, on a spectrum, you can place yourself in terms of, and this relates to sexuality, specifically for Kinsey. He was a sex researcher, relates to how interested you are in one sex or the other. So how heterosexual are you? How homosexual are you on a spectrum? So in the movie, for example, and I hope we can trust that the details of the movie, at least many of which are accurate. There were conversations where he was speaking with one of his lovers and who was studying with him, part of this, and they were speaking in this language. So, he's saying, yeah, I think I'm a 2, 5 or whatever. I'm like 2 into girls and, 5 into boys or whatever it was, right? So this is what I'm reminded of. And I don't know precisely how much that relates specifically to masculine and feminine as relates to you, your own university, or you, Alicia, for that matter. But I think there's probably some overlap there.
I wish I had watched it or ever done any research on it. It would be so cool if I had, because I really don't have too much context of what you're talking about or what they're talking about. But the masculine and feminine is, for me, I was talking to a client that is in my Paradise Awaits program, and we were talking about this masculine and feminine, and for me, I think I have a much different perspective on it than the normal fancy, getting your more feminine place, and for women, right, with female genitals, and being your more masculine for men, with masculine or male genitals, and the society as a whole right now, making one right or one wrong. I see masculine and feminine less of a sexual representation and more of a personality, natural traits, personality, energy behind. I've seen very quote unquote masculine, healthy masculine females who are heterosexual that have a hard time attracting a male. And I think that's because they keep looking for this masculine man that is going to balance them, which cannot happen if their natural tendency is to be more about doing and providing and accomplishing, right? If that's just their natural intake. So when they stop organizing that in their heads, though, like they need this big man and they keep attracting this macho man, right? Because they're forcing and they're macho and they're fake and sometimes uncommunicative and not in touch with their feelings, and just more macho or shrew. That's another word that I call it in that program. For a female, they can also be macho.
Which program is that?
The Paradise Awaits program, my sexuality program. And but I think if they just were a man can look so many different ways, and if they attracted a man that had more, not girly qualities, right, or gay qualities as we say it, but feminine qualities, right, was more nurturing, more receptive and grateful, more thoughtful in a way of presence and being and emotional, right? Which there's a ton of amazing heterosexual men that are this way too. And if one attracted the other, they balance each other out, right? Like she'd be able to do the providing and he'd be able to do the giving, and it would all be yay, So, so I just think of it that way. I don't think that one is bad or good. I think that a female can be connected with her internal balance of the masculine and feminine, and accepting who she is and making sure that she's not leaning into the shrew. And I think a man can do the same thing, not apologizing for his feelings, right? And his more feminine traits, if he's more feminine, in the sense of personality, right? Or energetically, and not lean into the macho. Anyway, I don't know if that made any sense, but that's my take.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, definitely masculine and feminine are forces. And well, on the one hand, I wonder biologically how much this relates to testosterone and estrogen. And on the other hand, I think of the yin yang again. So it can be symbolic or biological, perhaps. I'm kind of curious to hear more about the shrew, and it sounds like you also use the term macho, which I think most of us have heard, but I'm not sure if you use it the same way. Feel like telling us some more about the shrew?
So,
And macho, or whatever.
The shrew is shrew, right? She's nitpicky and she's needy and it's like a really imbalance, or he, right, is nitpicky and needy, and there's an insecurity there. It's a shrew, right? It's
Okay.
like the evil witch. It's like just using and manipulative, and it's the unhealthy feminine. It's a little different than the macho, which is overbearing and can be abusive. Now, a woman and a man each can have a shrew or a macho, right? So if a woman is really nitpicky and needy and poor me and da 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 da, then she has a little bit more of the unhealthy or unbalanced shrew in her. So to find that and calm it down, it would be healing and treating from a coaching perspective, and nurturing, learning how to nurture and accept that more feminine energy within her or him. If a man's doing the same thing, right? He's really needy, he's clingy, I mean, we've heard of these women, right?
Like, or men, yes.
Maybe I've been them, right? Like been a shrew. And then there's the more masculine traits of this imbalance, and it's overbearing and controlling and macho, right? It's just like so forceful, proving. I've totally been in macho energy too, pushing, and it can be unhealthy in relationships. It's definitely unhealthy in our biochemistry, and I think both of these qualities that come out in each of us, but if we have one that's overbearing in you or a partner, in order to treat it, we need to recognize it. And that means just, which is unhealthy. Are you controlling and angry and solving the drama this way? Or are you poor, pitiful, me, needy, can't do anything, solving the problem this way? And how can you come back into that balance to have a healthy relationship with masculine and femininity? That's the goal anyway.
Yeah, so it applies to each person, totally separate of any other necessarily.
Yeah.
And so how does it affect someone biochemically?
Our thoughts create our genetics.
Is that a part of biogenetics that I know you've spoken of?
And it is totally, because it's going to shift your thoughts, your perception in life, they've proven your feelings, your emotions affect what, within your own genetic makeup, right? So we both, Jason and I both are in a wonderful community of Euphoria. And what they do is they give us our genetic makeup, right? Like literally read your genetic makeup, and you can look at it, right? So we all have this bred genetic makeup, right? And on both helixes, we have a masculine and a feminine pull. And it could be.
I love this. I just want to see you do this again, actually. Yeah.
It could.
That shows she can dance, folks.
Right,
the rhythm there. See how rhythmic that was? Yeah.
You got it too.
No, she really can, for real. She's got rhythm.
I've got rhythm. Um, so the masculine positive pole and the feminine negative pole, they work together, and you can turn on and off your genetic makeup depending on your perception, your emotions. So epigenetics is a whole study on this. If you want to look it up, everybody, just Google it. Like, it's huge. And so when you understand the energy, the positive or negative energy. Now, positive means push, right? So you can think of positive as not like, oh, it's good, right? So all men are good and higher and blah, 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 like this concept, this masculine, right? And the feminine is negative, so it's bad. No, the feminine is the pull and the masculine is the push. It took me a long time to get around that. It's so friggin' simple, but for somehow with our society, like I had, what do you mean? Like the feminine's more positive, we're loving and nurturing, right? And masculine is not, they're pushing it, right? Controlling, blah, blah, blah. So I was very much looking at the shrew and the macho in that, but coming back to just this beautiful balance of action that the masculine has of bringing into creation, of seeding ideas, right? Whether it be a life or anything else, by having that special ingredient that gets things done. This is why the more masculine energy is the providing energy. Okay, it's the shower up energy. It's when balanced, it's so beautiful and really important for all of us. And then the feminine is the receiving. It's the nurturing. And so understanding this is just, I don't know, it was a huge concept for me. I'm still understanding it. It's huge, but I know that as far as epigenetics and biogenetics, it's a study of really how much these energies, when unbalanced, can affect us negatively, and when balanced, affects us like positively, or what we think is good, healthy, flowy, effortlessly, and how it's very much, it's about you, right? It's individual. Nobody else can fix it, see it, look at your programming. We all give each other insights, right? So you can see when I'm off balance probably before I can at some point, you know, because I'm looking from inside my own drama, inside my own movie. But shifting that is a science of itself and an ownership of itself, and is super powerful. But you have both. You have the positive and the negative.
Yeah. Well, and as you mentioned, we all need to help one another, because the last one to see something is usually ourselves when it relates to ourselves.
That's why coaching is so important, because we're
right. Yeah, exactly. This the feminine and masculine is such an interesting concept. I mean, I think graphically of the yin yang symbol again, how the yin is the black side. So perhaps one could see that as absence of light in a way, and the white is the positive side. So light enters dark, right, for consciousness. And then when each of us is able to balance ourselves through changing of diet, for example, or balancing any of the 6 categories, then one gains which in yogic terms is having your Vakruti match your Prakruti, your state matching your constitution. Then I wonder, in the yogic vernacular, if one is moving then from like Rajas or Tamas into a Sattvic to Sattva, a Sattvic sort of way of being. I mean, I would guess that these are parallel languages for sure. The one thing that confuses me, if I were to take this tack a little bit, is Shiva and Shakti, whereas Shiva is the non-active energy. It's the stationary energy. So I think of sexuality again, bringing it full circle. I think perhaps here might be a good time to wrap up. you know, one of the lessons I learned from a girlfriend who happens to be like a neo-tantric. So she, you know, for her especially, it was very important for me to stay calm, stay still at the moment of, as she was approaching her orgasm, her climax, or one of them, the one that was important to her apparently in a given sitting. And so it's very important to stay still, right? And this is how I think I've heard of it yogically, not sexually as well, that it's this open or the void or the absence energy that's just never moving, never changing, right? And the Shakti energy is the ever active, ever, you know, coming into the world. And just finally to, I know I'm getting so academic here, but maybe to, basically I lost my thought, but I was gonna bring it home and say, I can't remember what I was gonna say, folks. That's it. And on that note, I'm gonna come back to it later, because one thing I do remember that I forgot to say in the beginning of this podcast was that I did something like this in the previous podcast, and I had answered my own question in that podcast by the end of that podcast. And I just wanted to let everyone know that I didn't just drop the ball completely. So this particular ball that I just put down for a moment, I'll bring it back next time and tell you what I was talking about. But in short, Shiva, Shakti, and here it is, actually, I'll bring it home right now. Shiva and Shakti is part of the 36 tattvas in yoga, which is the most subtle of forms of existence. And you can follow this map as they mapped it out down to some of these other more tangible aspects of things, like if you're sitting in sexual union, orgasm, and everything else along the way, like the masculine and feminine within each person, et cetera, et cetera.
Nice.
Anyway, bringing it way out and back in.
I want to know more about that. I love your wealth of knowledge and of yogic terms. And you know, I've been in the world, literally writing books about it and stuff for forever. For some reason, the part of my brain that's going to get super academic just checks out. It's not there. It's like this innate knowing I have, and then it's like, oh, thank you for the wisdom.
And look what I just did. I was talking about it and I forgot what I was talking about, right? And to use it yogically, it's Vata energy. It's like distracted, crazy Vata energy, you'd call it. Yeah, Vata derangement in yogic terms.
I love it. I love how you just bring it all back to the beautiful, you know, real science and philosophy of yoga. I think yoga is one of the most beautiful ways that we can bring in all religions, every friggin' one, by the way. And if you question that, you can get this book about the Bible and the Yoga Sutras and
boom,
read the comparison. My master's thesis, but all religions and philosophies and science that is just now being backed up as truth, right? As far as the scientific world goes, that the yogic philosophy, the yogic teachings has known for millennia. And I love how it's all coming together right now in the world. And I think it's beautiful that we're talking about it, and I cannot wait to continue this conversation. So everybody, thank you so much for being here. Make sure to comment and let us know what you think about this. Follow us on Facebook at Your Own University, and check our next master classes out at yourownuniversity.com and join our newsletter. It's absolutely free, and you can come to all of our live events as our guest.
All right, well, look forward to seeing you for all of that and each of it and more. Bye for now.